Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Of course, it's Monday, so the TTPS is with us in studio. Inspector Michelle Lewis joins us this morning to speak about safety during the Easter vacation. Good morning, Inspector, and welcome.
Good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Ruckus.
Good morning.
Pleasure to be here. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, the World Wide Web, everyone listening and tuning in.
We appreciate you being here, of course, with a very busy schedule. And one can only imagine it's going to get a lot more busy given the fact that we have the Easter vacation coming up.
That's right. So we have schools on vacation, children at home, and more persons on the road in terms of for social activities. For the beaches, for use of the beaches, you have a lot of persons during this time hiking. You have a lot of persons during this time going to Easter camps and that kind of thing. So this morning we're looking at safety, particularly as school is on vacation during this Easter period for young persons.
Okay, so as we start, let's start at home first, because of course one of the things we're going to see is many people going out and about, and even the possibility of leaving the vulnerable at home as well. So let's start there, home safety. What do we first need to take note of?
First thing is that for persons, let me say responsible adults, and those with responsibility for children, be it a parent or a guardian, to ensure that the children who are now home, because school is on vacation, that they are well supervised, properly supervised with someone who has, someone who is not a child. Oftentimes we see someone who is 16, 15 being left with a child who is 6 and 7 years old. But according to the law of Trinidad and Tobago, anyone over 18 is considered an adult. So if something should happen and you do that, you as the parent will be held responsible and can be charged for negligence or some other, that and or other offences.
What is the penalty?
For negligence?
Yeah.
I can't remember offhand.
Okay.
But it's one of those offences on the Children's Act 4601.
The reason I ask that is because we do have a very, I'll say, laissez-faire attitude when it comes to leaving the younger generation at home, because, you know, they say, well, you know, you're 15, you're 16, you can handle your stories.
You're bigger than yourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to pay more attention to that, essentially.
And then what happens too is that when children are at home and there's the access to digital devices and social media and the content there, you find that persons sometimes go on sites, and because they have so many hours unmanaged, that these things can happen. Even when you're looking at placing children into camps during this vacation, ensure that you know the managers of the camp, the supervisors of the camp, that you're comfortable that what they're going to be teaching in the camp is something that you want your children to learn, and the environment is a safe one. During some of the camps, you would find that sometimes they would have maybe an outdoor activity, which might be a water, to go to the pool or to the beach or something like that. And we encourage persons that if you are sending your children to a camp and they are going to such an event, ensure that if you don't want your children in the water, say so. Don't give consent. You can be safe, that's fine. The children will forgive you. Or if there's another somebody in the camp or you cannot attend on that, or you can attend on that day, then that's a good thing to do.
That's something that is quite critical, especially as you mentioned, of course, Easter camp 9 out of 10 times we see them happening in pools, we see them happening at the beaches and so much more. Let's talk a little bit about specifically water safety as well and beach safety.
Yes, so of course, this is the season for the beach. Easter time, we're in the dry season, and I mean, you know, you're just going to get those bathing suits and those trunks coming out, like, you know, and those track suits, because not everybody when they swim, they wear in tights as well and a little jersey. But when persons go onto the beach, we want persons to first pay attention to whether there are lifeguards on the beach and what are the restrictions in terms of going into the water.
Right, so look for the flags.
Look for the flags.
Red flag.
And have a conversation with the lifeguard as well. Let them say to you, well, you know, the currents are so and so, there's a safe area, stay on this side. You know, try to pay attention to where the lifeguard is and stay right there. Also, when you go to spread your blanket or put down your beach chairs, look into the sand to see if there's any bottles, any sharp objects that can be of danger and injure someone. Because some children might be playing sport right there, they might take out the ball or something like that, to look around to make sure that it's a safe area for the children and for the entire family or the group to be when they're on the beach.
Yeah, you know, that's a factor I never ever once considered in terms of you go to the beach, you know, I mean, you would look to see a generally safe area where you could set up your stuff or whatever, but in terms of looking to see where the children may be playing and sweeping the area to make sure that it's safe, it's not something that I would consciously think of. If you go to play with them and you see something dangerous, you move it. But that's pretty good advice. What else you have for us?
Even when sometimes persons go on the beach and they dig to build sand castles and stuff like that, look to see if there are any holes in the sand as well. and because they might be playing a little football, a little sport there, and again,
Twist your ankle if you go down in the wrong hole.
Yeah,
You know?
boy.
yeah. So these are some of the things that we want persons to pay attention to. Do not allow children to go into the water by themselves. That's a rule. That's like a
golden rule.
A golden rule. Don't go into the water by yourself. Tell somebody when you are going into the water, and of course, face the water, respect the water. So don't turn your back towards the waves, like the CDC, right? Watch the water when it's coming so that you know that a wave is coming and it doesn't hit you when you're tumbling. So these are for like the bigger persons in the water. Certainly the younger ones, ensure that someone is there and hold their hand. Allow them some space, yes, but keep that touch supervision in check for younger children, especially those who may want to use a float in a sea that is open. Right, to ensure that you have that control and that hold on the child, that a wave doesn't come and take that child out, and then we have, a situation that we really didn't expect to happen that might be sad.
One of the things that we always discuss, Inspector, is like around carnival time, we talk about putting name tags on children and stuff like that, right? If you go into the beach and it's really populated and you may not be able to hold them you're going to hold their hand on the sand all the time, right? Are there ways that we should be looking at making sure, for example, that the children know where to go, where to find you, if they get lost, what to do?
Yeah, so first thing, you let them know, as I mentioned before, to stay right where the group is, where the group is, whether it's family or relatives, ensure that they stay there. And you as a parent or the supervisor, because sometimes children go to the beach with persons who are not their family members, right? And ensure that you supervise and there's sufficient supervision. But also, even though they have on these beach where nothing is wrong with letting them have like a tag with their information on, but certainly the beach is not somewhere that you'll want your child straying, right? You definitely need to be paying attention to that child to prevent anything, for example, drowning, right? And Maracas, we know recently there was an incident there, and so we know that's one of the popular beaches, but we also know that there are lifeguards on those beaches. So we really want to encourage persons to pay attention, really, be alert when you have your children and your family members out for the Easter vacation. One of the other things that also happen is hiking. And sometimes when you're hiking, it may look all well down here, but sometimes as you go up into the mountain or into the terrain, you realize sometimes the weather changes. So it's good to know what is the weather condition in the area that you're going to. Ensure that you have on proper shoes, you do some due diligence in terms of the area that you're going with, and you go with a good group of persons. Stay on track, stay on trail, and do not divert from the trail that is set for a hike to whichever waterfall or whichever pool that you're going to.
Inspector, I just realized I never asked this question, but if I go on a hike and something were to happen, I call the TTPS. TTPS would come on the trail looking for me?
Yeah, so we have, so that has happened. We would normally include fire services, Coast Guard, police. So once the person calls 999, all the other agencies
will be activated.
And you will get that kind of help. So depending on where you are, wherever your danger is, you would get that kind of assistance. And we also have the search and rescue persons who also assist. So there's normally a good collaboration to rescue someone who is in distress. We have rescued persons who were like on a rock by the sea because of whatever reason. They got there, and there are some good success stories with that collaboration between law enforcement and, of course, the rescue team.
One of the things also that we see during the Easter vacation, of course, are going to be a lot of crowds. So not just from the individual perspective, but from the TTPS perspective as well. What is the approach to crowd control? And are there any particular plans in place to ensure that everything runs smoothly?
In terms of beach?
In terms of, everything. We have events, beach, traffic, anything you could think of.
So you are going to see during this Easter period, which is one of the things that we generally would do. You would have police presence heavy on the road. We encourage motorists in the first instance to ensure that you have all your documents, your valid documents, your driver's permit, insurance, and that kind of thing. For maxi taxi drivers, their requisite driving documents in terms of taxi driver badge, as the case may be, right? Also, ensure that in your vehicle you do not have anything that can be considered a weapon, like a cutlass and stuff like that the police will seize and take away from you, right? So those are things that are...
So if I happen to be a farmer, right?
But if you are a farmer...
How do I prove that I'm a farmer with a cutlass in the
Well,
car?
but if you are a farmer, there would probably be, it wouldn't be that you're looking like if you're going on the beach, and the officers may probably find. So example, so I don't know up on that side well, so I'm just going to give like a broad situation.
Right.
But let's say there was a farm on this particular area, and you say, well, you're coming from there and you go into a farm and you have all your tools and all of that, fine. But if it is not in a vehicle, you know, it certainly looks like if you're going on the beach and you have cutlass and knife and all those kind of things that can be used as a weapon on the beach, the police will take it away. So you really have to show, because if you are a chef as well, you may have some knives on you, right? And these are things that persons will have depending on their profession.
Yeah.
But certainly you will have to prove to the officer that this is in fact the case, and then if not, they will take it away. Yeah, one of the things for doing that is really to ensure safety.
Of course.
That if an altercation occurs with you and someone else, that these are not used as a weapon to injure someone, or worst scenario, to fatally stab someone or fatally kill someone, fatally injure someone. Yeah, so we would have, so on the road, the police, you would have the traffic branch come in and giving that support out there for traffic, but also for general crowd control, as you've asked. You would also see police out there. You know that the SOE has ended yesterday, but you will continue to see police presence out and about within Trinidad and Tobago, particularly for the Easter period.
We definitely look forward to it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning,
Most welcome.
Inspector.
Thank you for having us.
And we look forward to seeing you again, well, not next Monday, the Monday after, because next Monday is a holiday.
Yes,
Yes,
As
it
we
is.
continue to celebrate and enjoy the Easter weekend. So all the best to you and the TTPS, Inspector.
Thank you. Same to you all and to TTT.
Thank you.